Right, so I'm going to show you how to analyze a masterpiece in landscape. This is a Rowland Hilder reproduction, actually. Um, it's not the greatest resolution, but it'll do for what I want. I'm going to show you how to analyze and break down really good compositions from masters of the past. I'll try and do a consistent session, probably every Sunday, just going through the masters, in particular Rowland Hilder, George Innes, Dow, possibly some on Seago, and maybe even Edward Wesson. So this is a winter painting by Rowland Hilder, and as you can see, it's a very standard Hilder-esque landscape. And I'm going to show you what I look for when I first analyze these masterpieces, these wonderful landscape works. Um, First thing I notice is that there is an almost a 50-50 split with the horizon, and that's usually a beginner's mistake. But it's not a mistake here. Rowland Hilder uses this specifically, uses it deliberately um, to emphasize the masses in the sky. There is a band of masses in the sky here, and you'll notice the sky it's not overloaded, it's not too noisy, but it contains significant mass activity in here. You can see three distinct masses here, and then this works because the landscape itself is pretty quiet. It's silent. There's not a lot going on there. And this significant portion here is just quiet. It's just negative space. It's not doing anything. It's a wonderful resting place for the eye. So this 50-50 split works because there's only one half of it doing a lot of, if you like, has a lot of action in it, has a lot to say, certainly in terms of mass. So the sky is the dominant mass, which is unusual for landscapes. Landscapes tend to have a dominant mass in the landscape itself, or a large hedge, bush, tree as part of the landscape. But the sky here is the dominant mass. And we've got a support mass, which is this horizontal banding here. So we have a horizontal band in the sky, which is powerful, it has authority and it has dominance. And we have this secondary band here, which provides support to this dominant band in the sky. And then we have these verticals, as you can see, there's some recession going on there. Recession through mainly size. Tone isn't too different. There's a little bit of lesser tone here and a little bit more compression of values going on here, but it's mainly through size. These trees are essential. And if you've seen my previous videos about opposition in landscape composition, these trees are doing exactly that. They are opposing the horizon, which cuts through here. Because it's 50-50 as well, the horizon, you do risk splitting the painting in half with symmetry, horizontal symmetry, which is a real danger. But these trees perfectly offset that with their vertical forces, these vertical thrusts here. They also do a wonderful job of knitting the 50-50 together. So the landscape and the sky become knitted together by these verticals. So they feel unified. They feel like they're one form. There's not a 50-50 split in this painting. So these verticals perform an extremely important function. The farm here is high contrast, as you can see. There's a really pushed the tone there. That's almost black. Being Rowland Hilder, I wouldn't be surprised if that was lamp black neat because he used to use it quite often. and it's contrasted against probably tinted white here, but you can see the contrast and you can see the harsh shadows, contrasts of white and values that have been pushed quite a little bit, some darks in here. So this is our high contrast focal point. It also helps act as a secondary mass, a secondary support mass for the sky. And again, it threads both the landscape and the sky together, the same way that the trees do. Like a thread in clothing, it knits it all together. So we've got the dominant mass, we've got a supporting mass here. This also acts as a focal point and a secondary support mass. And we've got this here, this area here is a very important part of the painting. It's pretty much maybe it's tinted a little bit, but it looks white. But this is essential. There's virtually nothing going on other than a few shadows being cast across, very low value, low chroma shadows coming across here. This is a resting area for the eye. So if you've seen my previous videos on constructing armatures and designing compositions, you will know that I suggest first that you do the dominance, the dominant mass, which is the sky in this instance. We've then got the support mass, which is this band across here, and also the farm comes into it as well to support this dominant mass. And now we've got the third thing, which is the quiet resting area for the eye, and this is really important. So we've got all three things working in tandem. We've also got these verticals as well, like I say, providing opposition to the horizon and giving us an idea of recession. There's an implication of recession here. So that helps the spaciousness and the depth of the painting. This particular one back here, and there's another mass here, they're very much compressed with the sky, which enables the painting to breathe a bit more. It puts a bit more atmosphere in the painting and suggests recession. And last but not least, when I prepare armatures and when I analyze armatures, I look for the direction of the eye. And as you can see, we start here, entry from the bottom left, absolutely textbook this. The eye gets carried here. It's quite quick. That's a really powerful diagonal thrust we've got here coming through the painting. And there is a risk here because there's also another diagonal. It's nowhere near as powerful, but there is an implication of a diagonal here. So it can be a problem that the eye goes through quickly, but it's a masterstroke putting this horizontal shadow across because it slows the eye. See these? These are very faint shadows cutting across the pathway, the passage, if you like. And they're like steps. They're there to slow the eye. And this rhythmically guides the eye through the path to the focal point here, which is the farm. So Hilder is aware that these diagonals are powerful and force the eye through quite quickly. So he's deliberately put these horizontals here, but he hasn't made them too powerful. He hasn't overwhelmed the painting with horizontals. These are very faint, and that's deliberate. So the eye travels through. It could rest here. This is the resting area. Then we've got the focal point here, and if you like, the secondary support mass. And we've got the verticals here. The eye is compressed inward by this powerful vertical here, and this mass here, it's compressed. The eye can't escape here because of this mass. The eye can go here and go upwards and ascend into the sky, which is the dominant mass, or it can remain here and go up, ascend into the sky with these vertical masses here, or it can sit and focus on some of the detail and intricate shadow play in the farmhouse. But there isn't really an obvious escape point for the eye. The eye is always contained in this work. if the eye ascends to these masses, it's pushed back down by this mass. And we have an interesting area of light here as well. The corners are fairly muted, so the eye's not really attracted to the corners. And we're not going to venture off the page here because there's deliberate compression of values going on here in the back. So the eye contains, it can move around, it can explore, it's never lost, it never fires out of the painting. And that's all deliberate, folks, all deliberate. And if we look, there's a very clear value hierarchy going on here. There's a real push. It's quite a high value range. We've got almost whites here, and if you look here, these dark accents in here really are pushing it. So we've got a really full value range. There's the top of the farmhouse here, which is almost black. Probably is, like I say, with it being Rowland Hilder. All in all, an extremely good painting, very good painting. Lots of negative space for the resting place for the eye. Some really lovely cool shadows, but warmth in here, so the temperature's nice and balanced. It's all very good stuff. So I wanted to try and keep that fairly short. I didn't want to go on too much about this, but you can see what I've been saying in my little tutorials about designing compositions, particularly in landscape. All the all the ingredients are there in this piece, and it really comes to the fore masterfully with these winter scenes. Okay, I hope that's been helpful. I apologise, this isn't the best, most high resolution image I could find, but it's a really good. It's not the point really. The point is the shapes and the masses. In fact, the fact that this isn't particularly great resolution helps. It actually helps me explain the principles, why this is such a good composition, so solid. So yeah, that's it. So I'm going to do one of these probably every week. I will certainly endeavour to do one on every Sunday if I can. And I'm going to look at masterpieces. I'm not going to be too varied with this. I'm going to focus on some main artists, like I say, your Hilders, your Dows, George Innes, maybe have a look at some Edward Seago stuff as well. So I will keep it quite tight in terms of who I look at. So yeah, hope that's been helpful. Thanks for watching. Join me again soon.